and her train was cancelled as well. So dressing up is obviously a big part of it. Have you any idea how many people dress up in order to participate?
Quite a few thousand.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Sophia Wensler with your headlines at 11 o'clock. Sir Keir Starmer has defended the cut to the winter fuel payments in his first Labour conference speech as Prime Minister. He promised that every pensioner will be better off with Labour thanks to the triple lock. He outlined a vision for national renewal, including reforming planning, ending the doctors' strike and launching Great British Energy, which he confirmed would be based in Aberdeen. The Labour leader also pledged to house all veterans in need, saying homes will be there for heroes. He also said young care leavers and victims of domestic abuse will be given a guaranteed roof over their head. Sir Keir Starmer went on to address the riots across the UK, sparked by the stabbings in Southport.
I will never let a minority of violent, racist thugs terrorise our community. The debate is not about the worth of migrants. That is toxic, and we must move beyond it. It's about control of migration. It's always been about control.
Meanwhile, the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has set out plans to slash the number of women going to jail as the country battles an overcrowding crisis.
And it is clear now that if we change how we treat women in prison, we cut crime, we keep families together, and we end the harm that passes from one generation to the next. And for that reason, I am today announcing that this government will launch a new body, the Women's Justice Board.
Now in other news, the Prime Minister has told British nationals in Lebanon they should leave immediately. The UK is sending around 700 troops to Cyprus in case any emergency evacuation of Lebanon is required, as fighting between Israel and Hezbollah continues to escalate. At least 560 people, including women and children, have been killed so far in Lebanon's deadliest 24 hours in decades. Now back in the UK, a 15-year-old boy who was stabbed to death in south-east London has been named, while two men have now been arrested on suspicion of murder. The Metropolitan Police said the victim was Dejon Campbell and his family are being supported by specialist officers. Two men aged 52 and 18 have been arrested and remain in police custody. And finally, it's being reported that ex-ITV presenter Philip Schofield is set to make his TV return on Channel 5's reality show Castaway. It's understood he'll be stranded on a Madagascan tropical island for 10 days. The show, that was filmed in secret, is expected to dive deep into his past 2 years of hell since being axed from This Morning after admitting to having a relationship with a much younger male colleague. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. It's your first look at Wednesday's newspapers. With the hindrance of three comedians, I'm Andrew Doyle, and joining us on his world travels is Scott Caporo, and on his travels to the corner shop, it's Kerry Marks. How are you both?
It's a corner shop on the other side of the world, to be honest.
You are a globetrotter, Kerry. Everyone knows this about you. You seem very jolly, Scott.
I'm around, I'm tanned. That's all I care about.
That's all you ever cared about.
I was in California.
Oh, you have been in California?
Yeah, just hanging out, playing volleyball.
Does that make you jealous, Kerry?
I get tans from staying indoors these days. You know, I keep being told I've been tanned, but I know I haven't been out at all for ages. So it works for me. It works.
You've been spraying. We all know it, Kerry.
No, I don't know the sprayer.
OK, we're going to move on. We're going to have a look at the Wednesday's front pages before we start. The Telegraph are leading with "The State Will Take Back Control." And the Eye has got Reeves looks at cutting benefits to fund public spending boost. The Metro is running with 10 years to end zombie apocalypse. And the Express, Kate back at work to prepare for Christmas concert. The Mail has got Marines ready for mass evacuation of Lebanon Brits. We'll get to that in a moment. And finally, The Guardian, PM vows to end gloom as Labour seeks to lift spending restrictions. And those were your front pages. OK, we're going to kick off with Wednesday's Daily Mail. What's the cover all about there, Scott?
Marines are ready for a mass evacuation of Lebanon Brits. 700 UK troops have been rushed to the region to mount a potential Dunkirk-style rescue of up to 10,000 British nationals in the area.
That's quite an odd comparison to make with Dunkirk. It's not quite the same thing, is it?
No, not at all, really.
Not even remotely. I would go so far.
I think the family of Dunkirk's troops would probably be offended by that.
I mean, this is a situation where there is obviously escalating tensions between Hezbollah and Israel. And, you know, yes, I understand the need for Brits over there to remove themselves. But they can still do that in the conventional way.
Well, they want them to fly out on commercial airlines.
Right.
So they're really not doing... They're just saying, the airport's that way.
Yes.
So Dunkirk style is offensive too, like there's a style.
That never happened with Dunkirk, did it? They never said, airport there, go there, we'll meet you.
At Dunkirk, all the flights were booked up. So they had to get these
what it was? Yeah.
That's the problem.
The Prince had his own plane, but the rest...
Well, that's right. I mean, Kerry, there are escalating tensions. There are. Since the pager attacks as well. But, of course, Hezbollah has been launching all sorts of rockets for a long time.
Yeah, but we keep hearing it since the pager attacks, but of course it's been going on since October the 8th. So
right.
And also we hear that it's that Hezbollah are doing this in sympathy with the Gazans, but they did it in sympathy with Hamas. I mean, it was immediate. It was before there was any war that even happened. And then Israel sort of in lead. Obviously, Israel's about to get into an attack that's much bigger than Hamas. If this does happen, they've got 7,500 missiles. They've got suicide drones and so on. They've got a much bigger tunnel network. So it's going to be a huge affair.
Well, this was one of the first things that was raised by the Biden administration when after October the 7th. It's like Hezbollah needs to stay out of this. You know, once that happens, this is going to a whole new level, and that must be terrifying.
I'm annoyed because I was going to go to Beirut. I mean,
you wanted to see it.
My Tel Aviv gigs were cancelled. What about my tour?
You know, it is all about you, Scott.
Well, when I was a kid, I saw in the Encyclopedia of Beirut, and I saw people water surfing, like, you know, off the back of a boat.
And so you always wanted to go there?
I did, and wear one piece and just wave to the
I'm
coast.
sorry that your dreams have been shattered.
You'll get your money back on the holiday. They'll have it another time.
There's also a picture here of Meghan on the front.
On the front of the Daily Mail. What's she up to?
Apparently Oprah doesn't call her anymore.
I doubt that Oprah ever did.
It's over. It's over. And when it's over with Oprah, it's over.
Yeah, well, she doesn't return my calls either.
Really? Get out.
This is a dictator in high heels. No, Meghan's the world's loveliest boss. But why does she got to be one or the other? She's either a lovely boss or she's a dictator in high heels.
This is more to do with Mail's obsession.
Yes.
Mail is obsessed with Meghan. I mean, that's really what that's about.
With her in high heels.
OK, look, let's move on. We've got the Telegraph's front cover. Kerry, what is the Telegraph leading with on Wednesday?
Keir Starmer made... Oh, actually, what they have at the very top is Christine Hamilton saying, my husband wants a facelift like me. And I'm not quite sure whether she means a facelift like she has had, or whether she means he wants a facelift to look like her.
Exactly.
Very possible she means that.
Well, thankfully, she's in the studio quite a lot, so I'll ask her next time what that actually means.
Well, you better check out it is her. It might be him having had the facelift to look like her.
That's what I want to know.
I mean, you've been on her show a couple of times in Edinburgh. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she was great, yeah. Very deep, throaty voice. She's quite flirty.
Well, let's leave that. What else is... What's the main...
You say that about everybody.
That's you, Scott. What's the main story there? There's
the main story is Keir Starmer.
What's he doing in that picture?
He's kissing his wife, Victoria, because he loves her in her new clothes
I thought that
Lord
was
Ali bought her.
Lorena.
Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't.
Raina,
but,
sorry.
That would have been an interesting photo. I think he talked a lot about his tough decisions, and she got really excited about that and gave him a big kiss.
Fair enough.
So this was his address today to the... at the conference, which was very much steady as she goes on the calm seas of a conference kind of speech.
Yeah.
Being a former director of public prosecutions, I felt like he was still wearing his uniform, and it was more sort of policey than policy. There wasn't, in fact, much on policy at all. I don't think that, but some sort of nods to what Labour is now about. And of course, he's being covered a lot for a slip of the tongue. in which he said about Gaza releasing the sausages. But he corrected that fairly fast and fairly... I thought he could have...
Yes.
He didn't have the comedic instinct to play with it a bit longer of, them saying, oh, we're going to give you back your sausages, and Israel saying, well, we can't have it, it's pork, and them saying, we don't do pork either, and we don't like it because it's wolves. There was lots he could have done there.
I mean, the hostages are meat, after all, so,
I don't think it would have suited him, though.
Now, the thing about this is it's impressive, Kerry, that you've actually listened to the rest of his speech, because, frankly, the sausages gaff seems to have dominated the entire thing. And, the fact that he said, we need a return of the sausages. But as Kerry says, it's just a slip of the tongue. I mean, that is all it is.
I think he was hungry. That was the problem.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
They should have fed him.
Was it the slip of the tongue, Tongue, maybe? A kind of a meat-related
thing.
Do sometimes. But...
Maybe it was...
Casings, caskets. It's hard. You confuse sausages with sausages all the time anyway.
It is a strange... slip of the tongue, if that's what it was. It was a strange... Well, obviously,
I think it was deliberately. I bet he was backstage before going, don't say sausage.
Don't say sausage.
Don't say sausage. Whatever you do, and then it just came out.
Listen, whatever he does at this point, it's not... I mean, his ratings are plummeting. The recent poll, the Savanta polls, had him as down 28 points among Labour voters.
Oh my God. Sure.
And then down 26 among voters in general. I mean, these figures are bad.
Why? Do they know what people's main...
Well, there's all sorts of reasons. There's the way that he's handled the riots. Right. There's
the heavy-handed stuff. Also taking away the winter fuel allowances is very popular, of course.
The stance on free speech, the ditching of the Higher Education Free Speech Act. I mean, all sorts of things that they're doing that are just deeply unpopular.
I look forward to a chilly winter. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight.
Well, there's that. Yeah, exactly.
Slim down to last year's outfit.
I thought it was just generally a pretty bland speech, and well delivered, but bland, but fairly unmemorable, and I've already forgotten it.
Well, thank God for the gaff then. Yes. At least now it's the sausage.
That's all that stands. Yes.
Scott, we've got the iNews, that sort of pseudo paper. What are they going with?
The EU is willing to back down on new migration demand for all under 30s. Apparently, the EU is hoping for a 4-year period before the UK kicked them out. But now the EU is willing to bring it down to about 2 to 3 years. And I think they're doing that because they say they want to give Starmer a break. They want to let him push his own policies. They think if they do this, it will kind of warm him to the British public.
And there's a lot of flirting going on between Starmer and the EU, I know.
Yes.
So we wonder where that's going to go.
Communists and bureaucrats, they love each other.
They do love each other. Kerry, where do you think that's going?
What do you think? Is that they're moving back towards Europe slowly, possibly? I think that's a fear people have, but this also includes the youth mobility deal, which has been on the cards for a while, and apparently it benefits young people's careers, connections, and personal growth. Why is it always personal growth? You don't expect it to benefit other people's growth, do you? That would be pointless.
No, that is true.
Because people have personal growth all the time, every day. They're young. They should be growing.
They grow. That's what they do. They're good at it. They're professionals. That's their job. But it means that they'll be able to pass through passport control faster than us older people.
It's so fast already anyway. How much faster can it be?
It's pretty quick,
the passport control?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're going to pull face at us and then they're just going to go flying by.
They always say that, and then I pass through. It's faster now than it's ever been, actually.
Yeah, I haven't.
Nothing happened with
I still object, Scott.
Oh, all right.
They're supposed to let old people go first, and this is a reversal. They're going to be going in. Next we'll be giving up seats for them.
Oh, right,
yeah. I'm sure that will happen. Finally, we've got the Daily Star, and frankly, this is another one of their baffling covers. I don't understand this. What's this about?
We've only got the front cover. We don't know much about the story. It says Nessie reveals a wicked sense of humour as she plays pranks on boaters. I'll read you the tiny bit it says here. Can you believe it? There's
See what they've done
the star plan. Nessie is playing practical jokes with boaters. Apparently, Nessie is nudging boats and vessels. They add the word awesome. And I don't think they understand what a practical joke is, because if it was someone pretending to be Nessie and it turned out to be Nessie, actually, Nessie, that's not a practical joke, is
it?
It's
Nessie being Nessie.
Yes, exactly. That's Nessie.
I mean, if there is a Loch Ness Monster and it's nudging boats, that's cause for great alarm, not for flippant, pun-filled stories.
I think we know about it by now if it was out there, though, don't you?
Well, you know, I've seen those photographs. They look pretty convincing to me.
They are. I like the article about Sniff a Cow, Feel Better.
What does it say?
It's just the title is Sniff a Cow and Feel Better.
Well, you know, we don't need to know anymore.
Right.
Because that's just good advice.
Yeah, I think so.
It's under the silly sausage comment, which is quite interesting.
Yes,
silly sausage to sniff a cow. It's a meat obsession now.
But the Star is the only front cover that's gone with the silly sausage, this sausage pun, the sausage gaff, which is a surprise to me. I would have thought that would have been Return of the Sausages would have been front cover across the board.
They're waiting. They're holding on to it.
Well, I think they're missing a trick. Anyway, those are the front pages picked apart. We're going to gnaw on the bones in the next section with the end of Starmer's auto cue, the end of cell block H, and the end of blocking. See you in 2.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
had feelings of stress and anxiety tend to be quite normal for a lot of kids. And if it's normal for the kids, then it affects the parents as well.
Well, it seems that our canine friends could be the cure after new research by the University of Bristol found that dogs are incredibly sensitive to their owners' emotions.
OK, how do we cheat into this? How can your doggy help your family handle stress during this time of the year? Let's go to the Director of Canine Affairs at Guide Dogs UK, Tim Stafford. Tim, we're talking about this as if it's a big revelation, but obviously, you know, a man like yourself, you're well used to this, and you can see when a dog is reacting. What form would that reaction take, do you think?
Yeah, you know what? It's nice when the science kind of confirms what most of us have known for a very long time. Our dogs become members of our family and they come very, very close to us. So it's no surprise that anything that goes on in the family is going to be detected and picked up by the dog. That can be changes in behaviours. It can certainly be the dogs watching our behaviours and starting to mirror those behaviours. But what this research says is that the dogs can actually smell our emotions. It's not just that they're responding to our behaviour changes, they're responding to our physiological changes as well, because we smell differently when we start to get anxious. So at this time, there's lots of changes in a lot of families' lives. Kids are going back to school, young people are going to university, parents are having to deal with all of the emotions attached to that. So it's no surprise that our dogs start to detect that too.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The Britain I grew up was the most peaceful, gentle society that has ever existed. That has been destroyed.
Opinion polls show immigration is the #1 concern to the British public. Are you proud to be British?
Yeah, I'm ever so proud.
My name is Stephen Edgington, and in this documentary, I want to find out how Britain became a nation of immigrants. Immigration, the truth, available at gbnews.com.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, your first look at Wednesday's newspapers. I'm still Andrew Doyle. I'm here with Scott Kapura and Kerry Marks. We're going to go straight to The Guardian now, where Labour have a solution for the trans women in female jails debate.
This is the title says prison isn't working for women. Yep. Labour says as it unveils plans for alternatives. So this is addressing the pay for your crimes gap between men and women. And basically, prison doesn't suit them, apparently. They don't look good in it.
They don't like it?
They don't like the prison garb. I think stripes don't really work. They fatten you and so on. They still wear fight.
It is.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Is the point that they don't get rehabilitated, that the process just doesn't work for women? In fact, isn't this article suggesting that they are more likely to escalate in terms of criminality once
that's the thing. OK, that's what the article is saying, and also they're more likely to self-harm. They're less likely to be rehabilitated and so on. But there's no comparison with, and also saying that many of them come from abusive relationships and homes. Sure. But I would have thought that's the same. I don't want to make this necessary comparison, but the comparison isn't there. Is surely for men, lots of men are also in prison because they have mental illness and because they've had awful upbringings,
and they tend to reoffend.
And also they tend to reoffend. So are they saying that prison doesn't work? And what they're saying instead, these are the new measures, is intervene earlier, which I thought has been on the cards for a long time, community support and residential women's centres, and the third one is address the acute challenge of young women in custody. But surely, once again, those are things we should be doing for everyone if that works.
What I do know is that a lot of women are in prison for crimes that are not violent crimes, for instance. You know, they're just sort of, financial crimes or something like that. And so, therefore, there is an argument, there is a case to be made that if you're going to release lots of prisoners, which the current government is doing, maybe release some of the ones that aren't in there for stabbing people with machetes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That may be what it's about.
I mean, my only experience with women is that they're crazy. So I feel like maybe we should put them in institutions rather than prisons, lock them up elsewhere.
Well, all women?
Well,
I mean, it's a bold
The thing is, I do a
theory.
lot of comedy, and I think when women are strapped to their chairs, nailed down, this show's fine. But when they're allowed to roam free in a comedy club...
Straitjackets work with them. They're just really well behaved.
Yeah, we should really have something come up on the screen to indicate when people are being sincere or not, because I can guarantee
that's
there'll be a
happening,
lot
isn't
of...
it?
Well,
can we just say we shouldn't really lock women into institutions?
I think women on stage is fine because I believe in diversity, because it gives an audience a chance to enjoy the show less. But if you put them in the audience, then the whole thing, it just starts mirroring each other.
I'm going to leave now, so I'm not associated with the show anymore.
Kerry, it's too late.
Yeah,
You're
really?
in the
I'm
image.
in now. It's too late. Oh, no.
Yep, it's you and Scott.
I'd love to tour with a woman, but I want the show to be good.
I don't agree with anything.
I don't want to blame the audience. It's not their fault.
So let me guarantee that this section's going to be clipped.
Women are
I'm
great.
staying out of
I
it.
love women. They're so good. And they should not go to prison at all, no matter what they do.
Never. No, I'm saying put them in an institution, not a prison. I think I made that point.
OK, with mail again now. And Scott, has Germany discovered an uncomfortable truth?
As it turns out, the police work. Who'd have thought? Especially in Germany, right? The federal police have decided that they're going to post themselves at borders to control border control, to control who comes in the country. And actually, that cuts down on crime and reduces the amount of illegal immigration.
They've turned away lots of illegal immigrants.
They have, a lot. In the last week, they've been doing this for a week.
And they're saying, it's only been a week, but they're saying that already crime rates are being affected positively.
17 extremists were identified, 114 arrests happened, 640 people were turned back, 100 migrants were stopped at the western border, and Germany's Focus magazine interviewed this deputy federal chairman of the federal police who said, we are witnessing the efficiency, let me do it in their accent, we are witnessing the efficiency of the federal police, and above all, we are once again seeing confirmation of the necessity of border control.
Is that allowed? Is he allowed to do that?
He's totally allowed to do
I
that.
think he's crossing a lot of
I mean, it's
lines
terrifying,
here,
but he's allowed to do it.
What if a Chinese story comes up? Is he allowed to go there?
I grew up in San
When does it
Francisco.
stop?
I can do that
He's
accent.
going to totally do that. Now, explain this to me. Are you suggesting, Scott, that actually having some kind of border force is effective, rather than the Angela Merkel idea, which is let everyone in and don't even bother to check?
As it turns out, Shenzhen was wrong. As it turns out, the border control that obviously did not take place in the EU's external border strategy is working now. What this federal police officer is annoyed with is the flailing three-party coalition federal government that he says basically is wet.
Right.
The Social Democrats say know what they're doing. They're leaving it to the police, and he said, do leave it to us. We're here. We're being paid. Pay us more. That's his, you need to pay us more, and we'll work harder, and there'll be less illegal immigration.
Kerry, isn't this just common sense? I don't know why people wouldn't have expected this to work.
Like if you leave your windows and doors open, you're more likely to get burgled.
Sure.
That kind of common sense.
Yeah.
So this was, it was the Schengen scheme, which was, and this only happened 5 days ago.
I know.
With tremendous criticism as well. And in that time, they'd taken 900 unauthorised entries, which I'm kind of the opinion that it's entering into a country is a bit like entering into a body. There should be consent, and these are unauthorised, so non-consensual entries into a country.
Yes.
The one thing about this article, which I just want to mention, because media do this so much, and it always just amuses me and bothers me a bit, but Manu Osterman, this is about, he's the deputy federal chairman of the Federal Police Union. And it says here, Osterman said that for too long, Germany has acted as the moral fortress of Europe. The next paragraph quotes him, and he says, Germany acted as the moral fortress of Europe.
Oh, I hate it when they do
How
that.
often do they do these spoiler alerts? Where they
always
exactly,
do it. It's when they've got space to fill.
Yes.
They just describe the quotation before actually quoting
Or they want to
the
look like they can predict the next paragraph.
maybe.
They got amazing powers.
What it's called, Kerry, is bad writing.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
It's bad writing.
It's terrible
This whole story is basically a bizarre social experiment that a study of the obvious, really.
Yes, and the efficiency of the Germans, which you've always known about.
Yes,
Do you want to do your accent again?
Jawohl! We don't need federal police, though. We have the canal, or whatever it's called, the river between us and Europe, right?
Yeah.
You don't need a wall. You don't need federal police, right?
You mean the English Channel?
Just kick up the waves. That's the same.
The river.
Just a river. He's a fast
Such
swimmer.
an American.
That water.
All right, look, on to the Independent now. And is Elon Musk removing X's best function?
The block button, is he going to remove that? Users fear return of creeps, which sounds like a mild monster flick. I believe from a look through the story, I believe what it is, not removing the block button so much as you'll be able to block people, but they're not blocked from still seeing your posts because they're public.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. The fear, a lot of people are saying, look, there's lots of stalkers online. There's a lot of unpleasant people who are monitoring various accounts.
Transphobia.
There's all of that going on.
And it's fun. It's fun to block people. It's really fun to go, you're blocked, and just
winds them up of
really
three.
does.
Oh, it's great.
But a
I've
lot of
seen you freak out when people block you. You have a total meltdown.
No, the other way round.
Oh, right.
But what I think is interesting about this is he's not actually stopping you from blocking. I mean, the big issue with blocking is that people can post stuff under every post you say, troll you. But that's not going to... You can still block people, and they still won't be able to interact with your tweets. All it means is that they can see
your tweets.
But they can do that anyway, because they will have other accounts.
I argue that could be more fun. It's like sending someone to Coventry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I can block you. You still see me now talking about you.
Exactly, because then you could say, oh, I've just blocked this person. What an idiot.
Yeah.
And then you know they can see it, and that's going to really wind them up.
And you're not going to stop an idiot, are they?
This is even funnier. But on the serious side, there are a lot of women who are saying, a lot of feminists are saying, they are stalked by crazy men online, and they don't want them to see their posts. And that is a completely legitimate point of view. In a way, you should be able to cultivate your own account and who sees your account, shouldn't you?
Or just don't go on X if it bothers you. There are other social media outlets, right?
Well, there are, but I come back to this point that a lot of these stalker types, they have sock puppet accounts anyway.
Sure.
They're going to see your posts anyway.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't think this is going to change all that much.
And they often create new accounts, especially because you block them. But it's also that largely this is about free speech, as always, and they're saying there's been an increase in Islamophobia, misogynistic hate, anti-LGBT rhetoric.
What's that going to do with
But particularly with, because the article is moving on to the changes in X ever since Elon Musk has made all these changes in a while anyway. So.
Yeah, but they're just making this up. I mean, they keep saying that hate has been ramped up since Elon Musk took over. I've seen the precise opposite. I really have. But maybe that's just because of the type of people that go after me aren't on the ideological side of Elon Musk. But I just don't believe that that's true.
I think studies have shown anti-Semitism has gone up mostly, which is the bit that, you know, I was a free speech absolutist, but they need to leave anti-Semitism out of it and just leave my people alone.
Just for you.
Do everyone else. Have a go everyone else.
I suppose if you have a platform where you say we're not going to ban people for saying unpleasant things, then I can see why unpleasant things.
Or white men. Leave white men alone. Just be annoyed with everyone else. And middle-aged men, old men, old white men, balding men. Don't make fun of balding men.
Everything they get, particularly in floral shirts.
No one listens.
No floral shirt jokes. I don't like floral shirts or beige shirts.
You're a target with that thing on. No one cares. I only have 9,000 followers to it. I say whatever I want. Nobody cares.
They do care, Scott. I've seen people pile on you when you got your gig cancelled in Ireland.
I did. I got death threats.
And you started goading the people sending you death threats.
I was annoyed they didn't follow me.
But apart from the cancellations and death threats, you haven't had anything, though.
Nothing.
Nothing. Well, let's move on now. This is the Telegraph now. Wednesday's Telegraph, they got a story about your commander in sleep.
Oh, right. Yes, Biden made his final speech as president, his final national speech as president. And
is he still there?
He is. Yeah,
I'd forgotten.
No, he did too. I forgot where it was. And he fell off his bike. But he claims Putin's core aim of invasion has been thwarted by the U.S. and by our support with the Ukraine and by giving them all the bombs they've asked for recently. Zelensky's there, I think, today.
Yes.
Looking at bombs that he can use at a longer distance.
So, in other words, Biden's sort of saying, look, this was an amazing thing that we did.
Yes, he said, most importantly, the Ukrainian people have stood up because of us. We could have stood up, we could have stood by and merely protested, but instead we joined in and we're trying to kill Russians just like the Ukrainians are. So right on for all. I mean, it's great that he said we cannot grow weary or fall asleep is what he meant. And we cannot look away or forget where we are, is what he's saying.
I see.
And it sounds like he thinks he's won the war himself, doesn't it? It really sounds like
it's over.
And
he
do you know how he could have won? Is not leave all that military hardware with the Taliban in Afghanistan.
The 15 million people.
Yeah,
that would have made sense.
Could have used all of that, couldn't he?
Yeah, but that would have been good.
I bet he did mention that in the speech.
He didn't bring that up.
No.
I think that's assumed.
Okay.
But also, he was really happy to be there, and then they gave him ice cream.
I'm glad he's enjoying himself.
It was a last hurrah for him, really.
But really, Kerry, I mean, he's not all there, is he, at this point? And, you know, anything he does is a little bit sad at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking that he could still have been president as long as he made sure all other world leaders were incomprehensible.
Well, there's that.
And then it would have evened itself out.
How must he feel, though? It's a coup, like a coup within his own party to kick him out.
I think it reached a
He didn't want to
stage
go
where
anywhere, did he?
He gave Zelensky
he had to accept
that was
it.
Sweet, I thought.
Oh, okay,
a little candy.
Okay, that's nice. But that's what old uncles do, isn't it?
You on your way, your little one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look. We're only halfway. We've got plenty more still to come, including
halfway.
P. Diddy Giddy, drug mortgages, and robot security guards. So don't go anywhere.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office on GB News. It's going to turn dry for most overnight tonight. It's been a much drier day across England compared to Monday and the weekend, but there is more rain to come across the south tomorrow as this weather system starts to approach. It was this low that brought the heavy rain over the previous 48 hours. That has been clearing away, but we're still seeing quite wet conditions over northeast Scotland today. We've also had this northerly wind, which is introducing cooler air across much of the country overnight tonight. But the showers are tending to fade. We will see a few more across southern England and South Wales. It will stay quite mild here, double digits, but elsewhere with that cooler air coming in, we're into single figures and some pockets of frost likely across parts of Scotland first thing tomorrow morning. We'll still have a few showers coming in first thing as well, getting into northern Scotland. But these central parts of Scotland, that blue hue on the map, that is telling us, yes, temperatures are going to be down to freezing or a touch below through some sheltered glens. A bright start, though, for much of southern Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine tomorrow, just one or two showers along the north coast. Perhaps a few showers over northern England, but a good part of northern England, North Wales, actually having a fine day tomorrow. Quite grey to begin with across southern counties of England and Wales. And here comes the rain, just edging back in, initially across southwest England, South Wales, but spreading more widely over southern England and up towards the Midlands come the afternoon. As I mentioned, much of northern England, Northern Ireland, a good chunk of Scotland actually, just dry and bright tomorrow with some decent spells of sunshine. But it will be on the cool side, temperatures struggling into the low teens. A little milder further south, but not feeling all that mild with the wind and the outbreaks of rain, which will push north on Thursday and could cause some further issues as this line of rain kind of grinds to a halt. So we do have a Met Office yellow warning in place over much of northeast England, parts of southern Scotland, Northern Ireland and North Wales also seeing a wet day, but in the south turning a little milder and a little brighter on Thursday.
The king of breakfast TV is back. That's right, Britain's favourite TV host, Eamon Holmes, returns to Britain's hottest breakfast programme. Breakfast every day from 6 a.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. It's your first look at Wednesday's newspapers. Kerry, let's get straight back into Wednesday's Mail, where P. Diddy makes Jeffrey Epstein look like Harvey Weinstein.
Great one.
Is that fair enough? I don't know.
That'll do.
I don't know.
So the headline is Diddy's bodyguard says there are tapes of politicians at freak-offs and claims rapper learned from other music moguls. Now, I didn't know who this guy was and only realised at the end there he's a rapper, and I thought it was something to do with one of Ken Dodd's Diddy men.
Oh, that would be more interesting.
Which would have been a great story. And it turns out, but it's
I never
not,
trusted them, you know, Kerry.
No?
The Diddy men?
No, they were always very suspicious. They didn't like the way they moved. It was something odd was going on
Were
there.
they
The
doing
voices
human
and everything.
trafficking and drug addiction?
Probably.
The whole lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Diddy has been arrested for these freak-offs, which are sex-crazy things that sound absolutely awful.
Freak-offs? Like they're parties, right?
They're party things involving orgies and stuff, yes.
With lube and baby oil.
Yes, and everyone's asking now.
Well, that's
So the question as far as the law is concerned is did Diddy do it?
Did he do it?
Did he do it?
Well, he's been filmed, apparently, and the films have been passed around amongst police and celebrities.
OK.
And there are a lot of...
So there's a lot of celebrities who are going to be worried now, and he's going to vanish in prison
But look, all of this is in the realm of speculation. At the moment, this story is about a bodyguard who is making these allegations.
Well, he said they're not allegations because I was there, I saw... I mean, they are, but he said I saw... It's not secondhand, I saw all of it. And P.D. is just reenacting what happened to him when he was a young musician. In the business, he was treated this way. Now he's treating people that way. He thinks that's the way...
But he's being convicted now of sex trafficking, right?
P. Diddy?
Yeah.
He's been charged and he's not being released. He's in prison. He's being withheld.
Okay.
So
well, this all sounds like it's not going to go away. Anyway, we're going to move on now to the Daily Star.
I want to talk about this more. I was excited about
Well, I know you were. That's why I'm moving on. What's this one about? Daily Star. Scott, have you got this?
It's about P. Diddy and all his sex trafficking. Oh, wait. This is about UK banks offering potential homeowners to fill out these forms, asking what their financial life is like, how are they going to buy a home? And one of the questions happens to be, what's your money set aside for narcotics? How much narcotic, can't say the word, how much narcotic money do you need each month to keep your habit going?
No, they don't mean that. They mean like aspirin
they don't.
Or antihistamines.
No, narcotics, we all know, means heroin and shooting up.
They claim they don't mean that.
They claim, but if you look the word narcotic up in the dictionary...
It means drug.
It means heroin.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Narcotic just means drug.
In my dictionary, it means heroin. The one I use.
Well, I don't know what dictionary you've got.
No,
but
it says, according to the Collins Dictionary, narcotics are drugs like opium or heroin that introduces sleepiness, numb pain, and great times. It doesn't say great times.
Codamol's an opiate.
It's addictive, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you can legitimately have an opiate.
I think there's an inference that comes with narcotics.
So why
it's a very American influence, really, isn't it? And I think you're really trying to push this, but I don't think you're winning.
Why have they chosen that word then? Why didn't they just go with something else?
I took it originally. They're saying you want to get a mortgage. Are you on narcotics? Like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Do you know how expensive this is? It's just, you've got to be mad.
Well, we have this plan. You can buy this house and get a bit of advice on how to get over the narcotics.
If you were on heroin or something like that, or meth, crystal meth, you're not going to admit it to some building society. I mean, this is like those questions when you go into America and it asks if you're a terrorist or something. I mean,
yes.
What do you say to that when they ask you?
I just keep shum.
Right.
It's probably the best way, yes.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, as you're saying, that narcotics doesn't mean that. It means prescription drugs.
And terrorism doesn't mean what you think it means.
I don't think they want to admit now. I think they're doubling down.
It's a different river and a different sea. Don't be crazy, right?
No one wants to say, I didn't know what it meant. I just put that down anyway.
It does seem like an odd question.
It's got that feeling also of, like when you give a homeless person money and say, you're not going to spend it on drugs, are you? Which is kind of like what they're doing with this. Here's your money.
It might have just been one form that day, and they might have signed it in because they wanted drugs themselves at Metro Bank. Maybe
that's possible. Or
do you
maybe
have any narcotics.
Maybe that's what they meant.
Let's have a freak out.
Yes, a freak out. They want to give homes to people who are going to have fun with them, not people who aren't.
I don't like that this freak out phrase is catching on.
We've got some baby oil.
And particularly in relation to building societies, I think there's something deeply disturbing.
I think it's nice people having a
that.
bit of fun for a change.
Well,
these were a bit grim for a while.
That is true. Let's move on. The Daily Mail now. Scary robots. What's going on?
Robots having freakouts, but it's not. It would have been great if the story just continued like that. But
there should be a dramatic thread across all of the stories.
A Dalek covered in baby
oil. Like an arc to the show. Anyway, what's this about? Scary robots?
Tesco have robot security guards. Why not? Everything's going to be robots soon anyway, so I don't see why not. These are Dalek-like robots, which is, once again, they're just going with a comparison. It probably looks nothing like a Dalek. And it shouts at thieves in angry Northern Irish accents, which is all of Northern Irish accents, and claiming that can present 80% of intrusions.
Does that work? I mean, I think that's really offensive to Northern Irish people. It's sort of suggesting...
I thought the accent was the sexiest accent in Europe. That's what was elected.
No, that's Brummie, surely.
Which is?
Brummie, Birmingham.
The sexiest?
Don't you think? Is it just me? What?
No, oh, my God.
You don't get that?
I get an erection when I hear that accent. Are you kidding?
I don't have any reaction whatsoever to any of them
They've
at all.
got scary robots shouting like Ian Paisley.
They do, yeah.
And that apparently prevents thieves?
Well, I wasn't sure whether it was the robot shouting in the Northern Irish accent or whether it's shouting at people who have a Northern Irish accent.
I think
and say, don't do that. That's
awful. It is Northern Irish robot.
I can't do the accent because I have self-respect, but it says things like...
You have 10 minutes to get out.
Yeah, something like that. There's a bomb in your pocket.
20 seconds to comply.
Yeah, I mean, they're accents that apparently intimidate people, but when I hear that accent, like Mary Bork, I think it sounds kind of sweet.
Oh, well, she's Southern Irish.
Oh, right.
You're thinking that...
She's Southern Irish, and it's also... On a woman, it's different to on a man. There is a guy here saying that he's surprised that the Northern Irish accent is so scary, and then when he stopped talking, he looked up and everyone was under the furniture, because Northern Irish people they think it's normal for people to hide.
Is it that Peaky Blinders thing? Is it that?
Yes, apparently it talks to Peaky Blinders. No, it does.
No, there's a Northern Irish character on Peaky Blinders who's really abusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what the robot does,
apparently. I haven't seen that show, to be fair.
It does impressions.
I keep forgetting you're from Birmingham and you have a real strong place in your heart for that.
Oh, yeah, right. Let's move on now to The Express, where it turns out that teenage boys prefer their Lara Croft without testicles. What's this about?
This doesn't really speak to me, this article. I know nothing about these games and things, but apparently...
This is a gamer article.
Right, it's a game. The $200 million was spent by Sony to create this game.
Yes.
And it's called Conquered.
Right.
And they thought it was going to be the next big thing. A bit wokey, like it had a robust black lesbian in it, and it had other sorts of characters that you don't usually see. And I thought that sounded exciting and kind of fun. And they thought that it would inspire kids to play.
Yes.
And they thought it would just hit the market, make a bunch of money, turn $1 million back, and then some. It only got about 697 views. And then those people wanted the money back.
Why?
And Sony gave them the money back.
But it can't be to do with the character.
No, because I think they just didn't connect. I think these young kids didn't connect to all these woke characters on screen. It just wasn't who they were interested in. And other games did really well that week, so it wasn't that people weren't buying the games.
Kerry, I have so little interest in computer gaming that I'm struggling to even feign enthusiasm for this story. What do you think?
Me too.
No interest whatsoever. I haven't gone beyond solitaire myself, you know.
yeah.
And, I still play it with cards, and I gamble on it as well. I lost my car
on the computer.
Lost
You
my
want to be
car
aware
and
of
gained
that,
the car,
Kerry.
actually.
Yeah,
Yes, well, no, I don't play it on the computer. I play it with, the old-fashioned way because, the way it's meant to be played. No, I don't know. This I don't know about this game. I have no idea the games industry. It was called Concorde, which I think was a fairly unfortunate name to name it after an airline. And,
It's like calling it Titanic or something.
failed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another thing that didn't really get off the ground properly.
Counter-Strike did well, and Steam, that's a game that did well.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Oh, well, that's interesting then.
Yeah,
I think we are clearly out of our depth.
No, well, we're not pedophiles.
It's a
but
game.
if we were,
It's a game. It's a game. Children play it.
Let's move it on.
How to Meet the Kids.
Telegraph
Rubbish.
now.
Yeah.
This is a story about someone identifying as a queen. Does anyone know? Oh, this is the castle story in Scotland.
It's one of my favourite stories of the week.
Go on, tell me what's happened then.
I'll start you off and then I'll let you run on this one. But it's trans owner puts £5 million Scottish castle up for sale because of abuse. Basically, she bought a castle and then she got a lot of abuse for being trans, which...
from the residents or from people online?
Locals were homophobic, apparently.
It's Castle Carbisdale, and she called herself Lady Carbisdale because she obviously identifies as a lady as well. So I don't think you can identify as a title as well as having a castle. She got abuse online, and a woman abused her at a meeting. One person who was there, he said the language she used was exceptionally strong, which even a sailor would have been proud of. I think it means which even a sailor wouldn't have been proud of. I wouldn't use it as a man, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it mostly seems to be a woman who, at a meeting, that upset her because she identifies as a sailor. And a few people online, and I feel sorry for anyone who's suffering hatred. I don't really feel sorry for people who own castles, personally. It's not,
she bought the castle for $1 million 2 years ago, then refurbished it, and now is selling it for $5 million because she's hurt.
Well, this isn't a sob story then. I mean, that's
really.
quite a decent profit.
And by the way, she was a man.
Yes.
And then she changed to a woman.
Yes.
And then back to a man, and now she's a woman again.
Are you serious?
I think the locals are just confused.
That's probably all it is.
She's a quadruple trans. She's a quad trans.
On the other hand,
a trans quad.
Is that a thing? It's not nice getting abuse online. Like,
no.
I think that's...
Or from the locals in a meeting, but she could have just, I think, set them on fire. She's that rich. She could have just had them arrested or taken out.
You can buy the police in Scotland for that.
I think
you can do whatever you
many
want.
times over.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, I think that she's got her feelings hurt, and after 2 years she's had enough. And it's cold up there. The winter's coming. She wanted to make £4 million. So
yeah, sure, but what kind of world are we in where a trans person can't buy a castle and have everyone love you for it? I don't think that's awful.
She owned her own loch.
For everyone.
A loch.
She owned a loch.
Yeah.
She owns a loch.
Comes with the castle. It comes
Really?
with the castle,
Does she have a monster in the loch?
I think it's her.
OK, just the final section to go now. And so do you know your vegetables? Why it's good to be kind? And we're going to talk about what is swamping. So find out in a couple of minutes.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Would you have Harry back with open arms? And this is Ian. Hi, Ian. Harry is unfortunately not well. He's an emotional wreck. Ian, you actually took the words out of my mouth. I remember when I was younger, queuing up for hours for West Ham tickets. I'm that sad. But at least I got the ticket. It was my ticket. They knew it was me, and there were no touts involved. It's Forever says Harry can stay away. He was so quick to condemn this country as racist and to trash the Queen and royal family's reputations. He should be banished and his titles removed. He has not earned the right to call himself anything with a royal title. Ooh, passionate. Since moving to the US with Meghan, the American dream has had a number of issues for him, I think it's fair to say. But if Harry was to return, would he be welcome? And could he make it up with William? Look, if Oasis, sorry I said the O word, have done it, Ken, William and Harry?
Well, I think it's going to present a lot of challenges. I mean, I've got to be clear here. When it comes to reconciliation, if it's possible, obviously, to mend the rift with William, clearly that is to be welcomed. But as for Harry returning, what precisely would that mean? What precisely would Harry want? Because if it is in any sense a return to royal duties, you really got to be very, very careful with what you're dealing with. As far as the royal family are concerned, for goodness sake, reconciliation, yes, but actual work as a senior working royal is not, in my opinion.
So I always think it's quite funny listening to serious people talk seriously about the royals, because it's not that serious, a lot of it. But actually, I think where I'm fascinated by them is that we can sort of see a bit of ourselves as a society and as individuals.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. It's your first look at Wednesday's newspaper stories. We're going to kick off with this story about children and vegetables. Who's got this?
I do. I think children... I thought it meant children were vegetables. And I thought, well, they stay in their bed all day long on their phones. Of course, they don't exercise.
Yeah,
They're just little bags of bones at this point. But apparently kids can't spot vegetables because they don't eat properly, because bad parenting, because this country's a disaster.
What do you mean? They don't know what an apple looks like or a tomato?
They can only identify in a test 1,007 to 11-year-olds were gathered together.
Yes.
And apparently they could identify carrots and strawberries, but courgettes and squash were the least recognized. No one knew what a beetroot was.
To be fair, I don't think I know what shape a beetroot is. I mean,
Really?
I see them sliced and pickled.
Yes.
But I've never seen a beetroot unprepared, no.
God, you are from Birmingham. Well, I'll show you one later. I got one in my pocket. Apparently, this woman from Borough Market, Stephanie Slater, says it's just a shame that so many children leave school without understanding food comes from soil, not the supermarket, which is why at Borough Market we charge so much for a banana, because it comes from soil.
Does this really mean that children aren't eating well just because they don't know what a butternut squash looks like?
Well, apparently kids want to cook more. They want to be more involved, and their parents are too busy. And 20% of the kids said we're not allowed to even go in the kitchen when mom's cooking.
Right.
I think parents need to engage the kids more at home with food. I think people have forgotten what food tastes like anyway. I mean, I go to people's homes for dinner parties, nothing personal, but you hear the microwave door dinging in the other room, and you think people don't, they cook Tesco meals for you when you come over.
So you don't know what the things look like? That's my point.
No one knows what food tastes like anymore.
No one knows what anything looks like anymore.
Why should we?
No, why should we? But children, when have children ever needed to know what a courgette and a squash is? You know what this is? This was a study done by by Borough Market, and they're really upset because they just love their fruit and vegetables. They love them. They really, really do. And they're so upset that children at primary school age don't know all their vegetables, and that's all they talk about.
I can't even afford to breathe the air at Borough Market, much less a vegetable.
Yeah, exactly. It's a vegetable obsession, you know.
Yeah.
31% and 36% didn't know what a courgette, that's respectively a courgette and a squash was. But I know what those are, and I wish I didn't really. I don't feel any benefit from knowing.
Vegetables, aren't they?
They really are, yeah. The proportion of children growing their own fruit and vegetables at school has increased by 10%. It's amazing that Starmer didn't mention that in his speech, because what a great feel-good moment that was for
We
Britain.
buy our raw milk at Borough Market.
Your what milk?
I drink raw milk.
What the hell is raw milk?
It's unhomogenized organic milk.
Oh.
That's been non-pasteurized.
You're so gay.
I bet the children don't know what that is either.
No, but I'll invite them over all the time and try to feed them some.
Let's move on.
Do you?
Tiny
This is the Times now, and what's this? This is a story that runs counter to the woke Be Kind movement. What's this?
Kind people seen as more physically attractive study finds, so it's definitely true.
As it turns out.
It seems a study finding that being kind leads people to be seen as more physically attractive, although they don't get laid as much. It doesn't say that, I've just added that in, but
You've just added
almost
that.
certainly true.
It's implied.
Yeah, the results suggest, OK, they're saying that being kind is more effective than being funny, according to their study. But you know what this is? This is one of those studies where they describe it here. They describe how they get a group of people together and they say, you've got this guy here and he's kind and he gives a lot of money to charity. Yes. And they all say, yes, and they vote, he's very attractive. And they've got someone else, they go, he's funny. Or they probably read some jokes in that kind of like scientist kind of way, rather than actually have a comedian come on and make them laugh.
So are they implying that evil
blah, blah.
people are ugly people? Is that the implication here? Because Stalin was apparently a bit of a looker.
He was hot.
Right, so...
Yeah, really hot.
But I hear that he did some bad things.
Whatever. He purged a few things, but he was also very busy collecting art. There's that.
Right, OK, so there's always a silver
Good
lining.
writer, right?
So it's not true, is it, Scott, that we can say... I mean, they mentioned Roald Dahl in this because Roald Dahl has his famous thing in The Twits and The Witches where he talks about how beautiful people, or even if you've got a wonky nose or whatever it might be, if you're nice inside... you will appear beautiful.
I think,
that's right?
Well, I think these people they've talked to are probably pretty lonely, and they just want a bit of niceness thrown their way.
Yeah, I agree. That's
people
what's
that
going on
answer
here.
these surveys have nothing else to do, right?
That's true.
Oh, yeah, I'll answer a survey. I've not been talked to in days. And do you like nice people? I'd love a bit of niceness my way. What about attractive people? No, I have pointy glasses. I haven't shed hair. I feel bad about myself.
Yeah, but put me on stage with the kind person, and I'll mock him into being the limp creature that he is.
Comedy is a total aphrodisiac. Doesn't matter. If you are mean and funny, people will get in bed with you.
This is what we tell ourselves.
It's true.
OK, the Mirror now has a story about every man's worst nightmare. Scott, well, not ours, maybe Carey's. What is it?
Apparently, a mother faked the DNA of the guy she'd had 2 kids with because she didn't want to give him any access to the children. Georgina Saville is called spiteful in this article. She split with her boyfriend, Kyle Fitton. I looked him up, by the way. He's very good looking. And they had 2 kids together, and she wanted to deter him from pursuing any contact with him.
So she lied?
She lied to the court.
So that's fraud?
Yes, she gave fake DNA results She said, oh, this is actually the father. It was her new boyfriend. They're like, there's no way that can be. You've not been together long enough.
Yes.
And she's trying to fake a story, and, you know...
So how did she get caught?
They
tested?
They did, yeah.
Right, well, that's easy. I mean, she was never going to get away with it.
I think he got suspicious, yeah. And he's called Kyle Fitton. So this is very much a Jeremy Kyle type story anyway, in the first place. But
they split up because the relationship had started to deteriorate because she's a bit nuts. And then before you know it, he's like, where are my kids? You know, I want to see the girls. And there's photos. That's the thing. He has photos of them at Christmas, him with the girls.
Okay,
in
so
his
there's
arms.
definitely...
But the case revolves around her giving him the wrong DNA that she, switching them over. But that's not the point of a DNA test, is it? You don't, like, if you believe that I've got your child, you don't trust my... we go to a DNA testing site, and they're the ones who give us both the certificate, which we then look at, right? And by the way, it's not your child.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was.
I just want you to know.
Let's move on.
Okay.
This is legal advice from the Daily Mail. What's this, Kerry?
It's a very odd story because it's not a story. It's actually someone writing into a letters page, as far as I can make out, on the This Is Money replies page. So, and the headline is, can I ignore my father's will if he is insisting that his dog is put down? The answer is yes. So the person is writing in saying that his father said, in order to get the will, you have to put the dog down because the dog won't be happy without me. They've written to the Money replies who've said, no, you don't have to kill the dog. If your father told you to jump into a fire, would you do it? You know, in that kind of tone, but that's not the tone they're taking. They're being a bit nicer about it. It turns out that where there's a will, there isn't always a way. And you don't have to do something immoral. You know, if the will says you have to have sex with a rabbit, you can say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Didn't someone famous just die and ask their dog be put down and then the family...
I mean, I haven't heard of this, Scott.
That's just how...
Is this a dream?
It sounds like a dream.
No, it happened just recently. So, who famous died recently?
Lots of people.
Well, a man who was famous. Oh, very old. man.
Oh, that narrows it down.
We're never going to get to this. Any final thoughts on this story, Scott?
You need to hire some researchers on the show. On that?
Yeah, on that.
No, none at all.
Doesn't interest you
He
whatsoever.
should have killed the dog right before he died and gotten it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Why leave it to someone else to do? That's cruel.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Well, thanks for that input. We got there in the end.
Kill your own dog.
The show is nearly over, so let's take another look at Wednesday's front pages. So we're starting with the Telegraph, and they've got the state will take back control. The Eye is leading with Reeves looks at cutting benefits to fund public spending boost. The Metro has got 10 years to end the zombie apocalypse. The Express is leading with Kate back at work to prepare for Christmas concert. The Mail has got Marines ready for mass evacuation of Lebanon Brits. That's the story we discussed earlier. And finally, The Guardian. PM vows to end gloom as Labour seeks to lift spending restrictions. That's all we've got time for, I'm afraid. Thank you very much to my guests, Scott Capurro and Kerry Marks. We're back tomorrow at 11 o'clock with myself, Steve N. Allen and Josh X. Howie. And if you're watching at 5 a.m. right now, please stay tuned because now it's time for breakfast.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office on GB News. It's going to turn dry for most overnight tonight. It's been a much drier day across England compared to Monday and the weekend, but there is more rain to come across the south tomorrow as this weather system starts to approach. It was this low that brought the heavy rain over the previous 48 hours. That has been clearing away, but we're still seeing quite wet conditions over northeast Scotland today. We've also had this northerly wind, which is introducing cooler air across much of the country overnight tonight. But the showers are tending to fade. We will see a few more across southern England and South Wales. It will stay quite mild here, double digits, but elsewhere with that cooler air coming in, we're into single figures and some pockets of frost likely across parts of Scotland first thing tomorrow morning. We'll still have a few showers coming in first thing as well, getting into northern Scotland, but these central parts of Scotland, that blue hue on the map, that is telling us, yes, temperatures are going to be down to freezing or a touch below through some sheltered glens. A bright start, though, for much of southern Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine tomorrow, just one or two showers along the north coast. Perhaps a few showers over northern England, but a good part of northern England, North Wales, actually having a fine day tomorrow. Quite grey to begin with across southern counties of England and Wales. And here comes the rain, just edging back in, initially across southwest England, South Wales, but spreading more widely over southern England and up towards the Midlands come the afternoon. As I mentioned, much of northern England, Northern Ireland, a good chunk of Scotland actually, just dry and bright tomorrow with some decent spells of sunshine. But it will be on the cool side, temperatures struggling into the low teens. A little milder further south, but not feeling all that mild with the wind and the outbreaks of rain, which will push north on Thursday and could cause some further issues as this line of rain kind of grinds to a halt. So we do have a Met Office yellow warning in place over much of northeast England, parts of southern Scotland, Northern Ireland and North Wales also seeing a wet day, but in the south turning a little milder and a little brighter on Thursday.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be the next Great British Giveaway winner with a whopping £36,000 in tax-free cash in your bank account. Imagine getting the winning phone call for that.
£30,000 cash? Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Yes, you see, that is absolutely fantastic.
Look at the moon. Oh my God, this is amazing.
For another chance to win £36,000 in tax-free cash, text CASH to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2. Or post your name and number to GB08, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 25th of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the